everybody. Welcome once again to Nerds with Alcohol. I am Russ.
And I'm Chris.
And this is take 2 of episode 213. We had a little technical difficulties a minute ago.
Hey, but at least we caught it in the first minute. So
we did. Thank you. Yes. Thankfully. Hey, and that wasn't me this time.
No, it was me.
Looks like Chris forgot to silence his phone.
Yes, I did. And now you're silencing yours because you forgot too.
No, I did. I remembered literally 15 seconds before that happened to you. So yeah, everybody, welcome back to the virtual nerd basement.
Did you say it was episode 213? I didn't hear.
I did.
Okay.
I did say it is episode 213.
Because I forgot last week, so to mention that.
Last week on 212, I was not here. Thanks to was it Pete and Renee?
Yep, Pete and Renee
filling in for me, talking D&D stuff and everything. I actually haven't listened to the show yet. I always try and listen to the ones that I miss. If anything, just to make sure you guys aren't making fun of me the entire time.
No, we didn't actually. We talked about the game, so.
Well, yeah.
Because it was our first episode of Tavern Talk, which we'll talk about too. But
exactly.
First, I want to say happy birthday, brother.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yes, it is my. I have recently completed my 47th.
Spin around the
47th.
Spin around the sun.
Around Seoul, and it has been a lovely day for the most part.
It was. I had heard. I asked. Most mornings I actually ask Google what the weather is and what the weather's going to be. And today it said it was going to be cloudy and 32, and it was sunny and 32. And I mean, it was very sunny.
Stella and I had to run to Meijer real quick to get just a couple of things, and I actually wanted to get a steak for dinner tonight. I was like, fuck it, it's my birthday, I'm gonna get a steak. So I had like an $8 steak. It wasn't, and but it was a nice one. It wasn't terrible. And some baked potatoes, and but we were wandering around Meijer and stuff. But when we left, it was nice. It was sunny. It was, it was chilly, but it was still. That's the thing, man. I mean, that's how different, like when the sun comes out during the winter, how much it can take the edge off.
Oh, yeah.
Just
the wind was still cold as hell.
Yeah.
There was a good wind.
For sure. But at least if the sun's shining, you're getting some melting. You're getting, just the sun warming the concrete enough to melt some of the snow, and you're getting like the icicles are melting. So it's just, and I think part of it might even just be psychological. It just really can take the edge off a little bit more than having the gray day. But yeah, we went to the store, and I did find out, and I could talk about this because we're going to put this show up, well, we are live, but I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. But apparently Meijer is getting a shipment of PS5s that they're going to put out on sale tomorrow, but it's only for in-store purchase. They're getting, there's been a lot of complaints.
I've heard like Meijer, Walmart, they're basically a lot of places are getting more in soon. But
what they're getting is they're getting them, but they're not disappearing quite as fast as they had been. There were times when, and it's still pretty quick, but there were like a month ago or right before Christmas, they were talking about how because of bots and whatnot, they'd put the stock up on the internet or on the websites, and within seconds, they're gone. Within milliseconds, people are having a tough time. By the time they put it in their cart, but they would be gone. The supply would be gone before they had a chance to complete the transaction.
Yeah, there was one guy, I guess, that was bragging online that he had gotten like 2,000 of them or something like that, and people were ready to kill him.
Yeah, I mean, how he was able to purchase 2,000 of them?
Because he had bots. Because he had bots.
Yeah, but even so.
But the thing is what I say is, fuck all of them. Let them buy them up. Don't buy them from them. Let them sit on that fucking inventory and lose all that money.
Yeah, exactly. They have to at least, the best that they'll be able to do is sell them at cost, or sell them at their cost, which is still retail.
Yep.
So, because that's the thing. It's not like they're getting a bulk deal. They're still having to buy each of those for $500 plus tax. So, fuck them. I'm not buying. I mean, it was funny. Like on Amazon, if you look at the reviews, most of them are about the prices.
Yeah.
Because yes, if you buy through Amazon directly, you're going to pay the regular price. But if you buy it from a secondary seller on Amazon, they're jacking the prices up. In fact, that's the only time I've actually seen them available on Amazon was actually from a secondary seller, and they were $1,000, $1,500, and I'm like, you know what? No, I don't need it that bad.
Yeah, exactly.
I will wait, or I'll buy it on retail. The only reason I'm going to potentially try this is is it the first chance that I've actually heard that I might have an opportunity to get one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid to go to the store and, potentially. The only thing that would suck is I'll essentially have to stay up all night because there's no way I'm getting up at 5 a.m.
Well, that's the thing. I think a lot of these places should do that. I don't think they should be putting them up on their websites. I mean, I understand it's easier to sell them out of a central warehouse and just ship them out rather than shipping out so many to each store.
Well, some of what they were doing is they were doing in-store pickup, but you had to buy them from. The only way you could get them was through the internet. They were actually, part of it was to avoid runs on the product and stuff. They were trying to avoid in store and stuff like that, or riots, or people fighting over them and stuff. So I think we might be beyond that though at this point. I mean, people are still desperate to get them, but they're not Christmas time desperate to get them.
There are no actual games. I was talking with a buddy of mine about this, and there are no actual games for it. Now he's an Xbox guy, and he's actually talking about that he's actually thinking he's going to get the PS5 instead of the new Xbox because the new Xbox has got so many problems, and so many compatibility problems with TVs.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And it's all stuff that he's like, you look at the PS5 stuff, no issues like that.
No,
he's like nothing. So he's like, I might just get a PS5 when I can. But the thing is, we were talking about it. He's like, I'm not in a rush though. And I said, yeah, neither am I. There's no game out that I really feel like I have to play right now. And
yeah,
I'm like, the only one that I was thinking about that's coming out soon, and even that's been pushed back to May, is Far Cry 6.
Right, Far Cry 6. I definitely want to try that. I actually really want to finish the previous Far Cry.
I haven't played New Dawn. That one kind of got crazy, so I didn't really feel the need to have to go play it. So.
Well, I haven't finished Far Cry 5 yet, and then I still need to play New Dawn, but it's on my computer, and lately most of my gaming I've been doing it's about on Cyberpunk. So, but I really want to finish that one. I gotta admit, it's engaging. The storyline was very engaging.
Yeah.
So it's one of the things that really, particularly for a game that's mostly all shoot 'em up, more realistic and shoot 'em up kind of games. I've never been a big fan of the really realistic first person shooters. So I don't go in for Call of Duty and stuff like that. But still, Far Cry has some really great storytelling moments that I was really enjoying it. So I definitely am going to try that. Spider-Man, I definitely want to do Spider-Man, Miles Morales.
Mm-hmm. I just barely started the other Spider-Man.
And I want, the other Spider-Man is so good. And I also definitely want to play Valhalla.
Yeah, and I've started that too, but I need to get back to it. But now I'm into Cyberpunk, and the Nerd Basement is cold as fuck right now.
Yeah. You gotta get yourself a space heater down there, brother.
I've got one, and it helps. But I'll tell you what, I work down there, and so I go down there in the morning. It's 58.6 degrees or whatever when I get down there. Wow. Yeah, I turn the space heater on for an hour, and it gets up to 63, and I consider that good. And then I turn the space heater off, and within 2 hours, I'm back down to 61.
That's crazy pants, man.
But so I don't. I mean, yeah, Renee and I will spend some time down there. What's that?
Can you open up more heating vents or something? Or
there's only 2 heating vents down there. One that points over at the bar, right there on the other side of the table, and one that's over by the couch. That's one of the little circular ones that they put in. So I mean, the only other thing would be to put more of those circular ones in and run the ductwork up through the drop ceiling, which is only this far from the joists. So.
Okay.
It's not like it's easy to get up there. I mean, you go to push it up and it goes poop, and it just barely moves enough to where you can slide it over a little, and it's really tough to get it back in.
Okay. I mean, the main reason why I'm still looking, I was my PS4 is starting to
I've heard that too, Renee. That Valhalla is not that great.
Oh, I heard good things though. I've heard a couple people. I mean, I think Ian said he liked it, but I've heard a couple other people.
He's had some complaints about it too, though.
Oh yeah.
as you get into it?
I tell you though, this is the first one that made me really kind of go, oh, maybe I think I really want to play this, because I tried the first one, and a lot of people talk about how bad the first one is. In fact, most people even suggest just skipping over the first one completely because of how repetitive it was on the PS3, because it was one of the earliest games on the PS3.
Now, what I've heard of the thing about Valhalla is that it's not a bad game, but it's a bad Assassin's Creed game.
Oh.
In that it's not Assassin's Creed.
Fine, fuck it. I don't, then great. Then I'll probably will enjoy the fuck out of it. But I think, like I said, my PS4 has been acting a little squirrely. The other night, it froze during boot up. And I actually had to unplug it and then replug it in, and it did a hard reset. And that's the first time that's happened. But I don't know. I just think maybe my PS4 is starting to get a little long in the tooth, and you know they are. It's lasted me pretty well.
I've been shopping for new TVs lately because I know I'm going to be getting a PS5, and I'm going to want a 4K TV to go with the PS5 because I don't have a 4K right now. So
my TV is a 4K, so or can be if I have the right input. So
my one of my buddies just got a new 4K, and he's been telling me about it, and he knows I've been shopping too, so he was telling me all about this one, and I was comparing it to the one I was looking at, and it's actually a better TV. It's comparable to the next step up of the one I was looking at, and looks like a really good TV, but yeah, cool. It's I'll have to redo the whole area in the basement. We're going to need a new TV stand because it's significantly bigger than the one we have.
No, like my sister actually suggested this, and I've been thinking about it for a while. I'm going to probably have my dad give me a hand mounting my TV on the wall.
Okay.
Because my dad's really good at that kind of, stuff like that.
I did that at the Roseville house, my last house. Mm-hmm. I had like a 32-inch mounted in the office.
Yeah.
So that I could have a TV in there.
Well, I got a 58.
The big thing is find the studs.
Right. Yeah. Well, I got a 58-inch in the living room, and it's just sitting on a second coffee table right now because my old TV stand wasn't wide enough for the new TV. It was like the feet were wider than the actual TV stand. So I pulled a coffee table that was sitting in the basement and put it on there. And that's fine for now, but it actually kind of blocks traffic a little bit coming into the room. Plus it's lower than I'd like. Mm-hmm. I'd like it up a bit higher, the TV itself. So I was thinking about picking up mounting it on the wall, and then, getting a small bookshelf kind of unit to go under the TV, to set the PlayStation on and whatnot else, and stuff like that. So put a couple, maybe some more books or something, an opportunity to put more books or movies or something there.
Well, Renee and I we're talking today, and she even mentioned the idea of getting one of the stands for us for the basement that actually has like the built-in fake fireplace, like the space heater with it, so that then we can just have the space heater there. We can get rid of the one that we have down there, the little one, and just use the one that's in the stand.
Right.
Then you've still got the area to put the PlayStation and all that stuff, because you got shelves and stuff to put it on.
Well, that's cool. I mean, I got to do a little something more in that living room. I mean, we got to think about more, some more about just decorating and stuff, making the house a little bit nicer. I've been meaning to do that for a while, and now that Stella's been here officially for over a year now, just over a year, it's definitely time to do that. But anyway, to get back to
the, I didn't say get rid of the one we have. Okay, not get rid of it, but maybe not use that one or move it somewhere else.
Yeah. But anyway, to get back to the video gaming and stuff, there aren't that many video games that I am desperate to play right now for the PS that are only on the PS5. But I mean, I might as well get one sooner than later. It doesn't seem to me that the PS5 has have as many of the issues that previous systems had right out the gate. Like the PS3, it didn't have, and traditionally the PlayStations have been a lot more stable than say the Xboxes. I mean, the PS5, the PS3 and whatnot.
The first Xbox was catching on fire.
Right. The PS3 never had that red ring of death kind of situation. You know, I mean, for the most part, it was the PlayStation 2 and 3 were. Well, PlayStation 2 was extremely stable. It was a really good system, probably one of the most stable systems, and I believe still the highest selling video game system of all time. The PS3 definitely had some issues because of like hard drive space. There was initially the first version only had like a 20 gig hard drive.
I got the second. I got the second gen.
I got the second gen.
That wasn't I got the one that wasn't the huge one. I got the might even been the third gen.
You had like third or fourth gen because you had the slim line. Yeah. Mine was, I got the second gen, which is the most backwards compatible. It had a 60 gig hard drive. But it was hot. Man, that fucking thing, I used to call it my fireplace because it would just cook. Now it still worked great because the fan system, the cooling system in the system worked really well. It just was blowing all this hot air out, you know, but they also talked about that's my tablet, not my phone.
It's blowing up.
It's blown up. It's been blown up all day because of my birthday. It's kind of nice, you know. It's kind of nice.
People love you.
People pay attention, you know. But anyway,
hey, at least I waited till afternoon to text you to say happy birthday. So.
I appreciate that. Thank you. But anyway, it definitely blew up. Man, my tablet. I swear, this tablet is getting old too, or something, because it just does not want to. It keeps like doing weird shit. So anyway, really, hang on. So anyway, now the Bluetooth app doesn't want to work. All right, let's close this off. Power off for now. Yeah, my tablet's been acting really weird lately.
Have you tried turning it off and turning it back on again?
You know, that's the thing. I can't, for whatever reason, you know, they keep saying like, oh, your tablet should last longer than your phone. And maybe it's because I keep it on all the time and I don't shut it down. Maybe I should do that with mine.
I do that with mine most of the time. And I've had my current tablet I've had since it's the Samsung Tab from like 2015, I think, something like that.
My second tablet. The first one definitely didn't last as long as I thought.
Mine definitely. I could probably use a new one because if I leave Wi-Fi on, I have to turn Wi-Fi off on it because if I leave Wi-Fi on, I don't get even a full day on the charge. It just drops. But if I leave Wi-Fi off, I can get 3 days easy, 3, 4, 5 days sometimes.
I don't know.
I've really only been using it as a reader right now. Anyway, I've been reading books on it.
Which I know that, but yeah.
Which happy birthday, Russ!
Thank you, Auntie Dawn. I'd like to know. I'd really like to know if I know Auntie Dawn outside. But no, hey, thanks guys for the birthday wishes. Thank you very much. Anyway, yeah, just the tablet. I use it because I do a lot of. I watch, Hulu and Netflix and stuff on it. I put my audiobooks on it. It's pretty much how I can do computing out when I'm not home because I don't have a computer. So that's my internet access and how I pay bills and whatnot else. And
mine's my phone.
I know I can use my phone too, but I prefer to use the tablet so that it saves battery on my phone. I'm not always constantly fucking with my phone.
It helps that I've got the big old Samsung Note. So
sure. But yeah, it's just weird, I mean, I've had this tablet for a little over 2 years, I think, and it just seems to be like more like I've had it for 4 years.
Yeah, when I go back into the office, I might actually look at getting a new tablet because then I can sit and watch Critical Role instead of on my phone. I can watch it on a tablet on a little bit bigger screen.
Yeah,
because that's what I do every day. That's what I would do every day at lunch. I'd go into the break room, sit down with my lunch, or I'd go down to the cafeteria if I was buying my lunch, sit down there. Set up my phone and just eat my lunch and just with my headphones in and just not talk to anyone for an hour. That was my decompress time.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would put my Bluetooth headset on. I'd set up an audiobook or something at the studio, set my tablet, at one place in the studio, and I'd be able to just walk around taking care of things, listening to audiobooks or podcasts or whatever. I mean, once again, I could do that on my phone, but then I'm definitely at some point going to have to charge my phone more likely. So,
well, and I've here now that I've been working at home, I just, oh, it's lunchtime. Okay, cool. I run upstairs, I make my lunch, I come back down, and I flip on like Disney Plus or HBO Max or Hulu or whatever and watch a show. I've actually started watching Supernatural again.
Nice. I've been planning on getting back into
I'm in season 2. I've only got like 8,000 episodes to go.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's kind of like, I know how you feel, because I've been watching, binging Special Victims Unit for the last, like, kind of slowly. I mean, I'll go leave and come back and leave and come back. And I kind of got Stella interested in it now. And so she's been like, that's what we've been watching when we kind of sit down together. And now that I also finished off the Office, so, which was pretty awesome, but you know what, we are digressing a lot. I tell you what are you drinking?
I'm drinking something, one sec, I'm actually answering something. You caught me in the middle of answering. I'm drinking something I'm not sure if I've reviewed before. It's been over 4 years now, so it's kind of one of those where I don't remember everything. I went back and looked, and I didn't go all the way through Instagram to look, but I looked at the list, because this would have been what I would have done early, I think. But I'm really surprised if I haven't. But even if I have, that's fine. It is Centennial IPA by Founders. That's the can. This is actually the new can. What it looks like. They actually updated the can recently, and it's it's an India Pale Ale featuring Centennial hops. Let's see, it is 6.5 or 65 IBUs, 7.2% alcohol. So it's up there. It's a little bit more than what Two Hearted is. But in a lot of ways, it's a very similar beer to Two Hearted. It's whereas Two Hearted is mostly, I think, Cascade with some Centennial. This is I think all Centennial hops. Hence Centennial IPA. Both of them have a similar flavor profile in that they're very much. Well, actually, I guess that's not true. Centennial is a little bit more piney, but it's still tropical. Where Cascade is more just tropical, I think.
Okay.
If I'm remembering correctly. Take another drink here. It is it's a nice kind of coppery color. And this one, yeah, it's definitely not the tropical type. This is much more of a little bit earthy. It's not even really coming across piney, but I've had some other things to drink too, so maybe my taste buds are off. But this is really good. I like this one. This is like my secondary, where Two Hearted is my go-to beer. This one is one, if I can't get Two Hearted, I can usually find Centennial, unless it's at a bar, in which case I just go with whatever I can get. But yeah, I kind of picked this up on a whim, because I'm like, I've been drinking a ton of Two Hearted lately. I want something different, so I picked up a 15-pack. That's the other thing. They sell them in 15 packs for less than, at least at the supermarket I go to. The 15-pack of Centennial is actually cheaper than the 12-pack of Two Hearted. So you get more beer for less price.
Yeah.
So it's better value. So it's comparable in that I still enjoy it. I really do enjoy it. I like Two Hearted more, but this is another one of my favorite Michigan IPAs. It is found, I think, throughout the country. I think Founders is in all 50 states. I think they were the first craft brewery to hit all 50. So nice. You can probably find it. It's one of their go-tos. It's not their flagship. Their flagship is the little brother to this, I think, which is All Day IPA, which is kind of like I call it the watered down Centennial, because they're basically the same recipe, just with less alcohol in All Day. It's the session version of this. So, but yeah, I highly suggest this. This I give probably 4 bottle caps. It's a solid IPA. Might even give it a little bit more. Um, but yeah, Centennial IPA by Founders. If you can find it, definitely, I highly recommend if you like IPAs.
Well, alrighty then.
So what about you? What are you drinking?
Well, I'm rocking wine tonight. It's something from St. Julian. It's a kind of a fairly well-known winery. They do a lot
Yeah,
of
here in Michigan.
Yeah, out of Paw Paw. They do a lot of like fairly.
Well, they moved to Paw Paw because they used to be up by Fair.
Oh well, it's in Paw Paw for now. So the nice thing about this, they're decent wines and they're relatively inexpensive. This one, pretty awesome with the skull on it. It's called Head Games. It's a spiced apple wine. I think there might have been a leftover from maybe the Halloween season. I got this at the Italian bakery I go to sometimes. No bones about it. This is a delicious spiced apple wine with notes of cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg. Traditionally served warm from a crock pot, but also wonderful chilled. You may also enjoy using it as a creative culinary cocktail ingredient. 11% alcohol by volume. I'm drinking it relatively, pretty much more or less room temperature. I'll bet this is really nice warmed up. But it's nice. It's a nice. It's definitely an apple wine, but it's not over the top. Like it's not. It's kind of a light apple wine, and I mean, I kind of wouldn't mind maybe a little bit more of the cinnamon kind of flavors to it, but for the most part, pretty good.
Yeah, that's actually something I haven't done in years is mulled cider.
Oh man, I love mulled cider.
Yeah, I used to do it every year, and I haven't done it in a long time.
It was one time we made some mulled cider at the campground at the festival, and we invited our entertainment director to swing by the campground at some point. Come on out, have some mulled cider. And she was like, well, maybe, okay. And so she came by and we handed it to her and here you go. And then she took a drink and she goes, wait, there's no alcohol in this. And I went, no, it's just mulled cider. We just made some warmed cider with spices in it. And she went, oh, okay. It was really funny. I was like, so many people just think of mulled cider and they think boozy, and it's not necessarily. It can be just nice, warmed, spiced cider, and it's good for what ails you,
Yeah, see, CD thought we were saying malt cider.
Yeah.
No, mulled
cider.
Like Mulder.
Exactly. So we should probably move on. So yes, it is my birthday, and I had a nice kind of relaxing, kind of quiet birthday. Nothing, no big deal. It is. I am just turned 47, believe it or not, and I've been, of course, I've gotten a lot of really great happy birthdays and things on Facebook, and I'm thinking maybe I'm going to try and get a lot of thank yous out probably later tonight. Maybe I'll put on.
Well, you said you were going to stay up all night so you could go to get the thing tomorrow. That'll take you all night to get through all these. Exactly. If you do a personal thank you for everyone of your 3,000 friends on Facebook,
something like that, like over 3,000. Yeah, I think. The funny thing is, interestingly enough, though, like not everybody does that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've gotten around 300 or so happy birthdays, which is really nice. I mean, that's really good. I would never expect, every single person on my Facebook friends list to send me a happy birthday. The funny thing is if you really think, like, when you're trying to fundraise, I have 2,901 friends. I think I've lost some. I think I know that I have removed some due to political reasons. Not many, but a couple. And I think maybe I've lost a few that have removed themselves, just having seen that I'm, very much a liberal.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, it's kind of funny. Like when you're fundraising for something and you got like 3,000 friends, if every single one of them put in, $1 or $5, you could very quickly get your fundraising just taken care of on certain things. It's kind of funny how that is. I've always found that just the way social media works now, it's really incredible. But yeah, I've been getting a lot of really nice happy birthday messages and pictures and stuff like that from people, and it's just really it really kind of gets really gets you there in the verklimpness, because I'm just, I feel really, feels really good. But Stella got me a couple of books, Kel Surprise, and nothing like, when your girlfriend works at Barnes and Noble, you pretty much know what you're getting for she got me the Hero.
By the way, just as a side, I have 179 friends on Facebook.
Man, you need to get out more.
I'm just really selective about.
I'm very selective. To my credit, I'd say good 85 to 90% of the people on my Facebook are people I have met in person. Very few, very, very rarely do I accept a friend request or send a friend request out of somebody that I've never met in person before. There's a few in here that are potentially like maybe models that I'd like to work with as a body painter or another makeup artist or whatnot, or the occasional celebrity. But for the most part, yeah, these are all people that I've known through Ren Fair or Theater Bazaar or the art community, or just various cons or whatever, just being a social butterfly. So
well, there's a lot of people that I could be friends with on there that I just haven't
choose not to.
Yeah, well, and not even choose not to. It's just I don't go out and try and hey, be my friend, hey, be my friend, hey, be my friend, that type of thing. And if they don't send it to me, then I don't accept it. And there's some people I'm like, yeah, it's cool to talk to you once in a while, but I don't need to see what's going on in your life every day.
Right. I get that. I totally get that. I have been a lot more selective of late. I keep scolding Stella about it a little bit. I'll like, hey, who's this idiot that's posting on your wall or whatever? She'll look at it. She's like, I have no idea who that is. I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, I did a lot of just accepting friend requests, just whatever when I was, and I'm like, Stella, that's not the best thing. I mean, there's a lot of, particularly for women out there, there's a lot of fucking assholes, So she's been a lot more selective. She actually cleaned out a bunch of people the other day, and I was like, how far did you get? She goes, well, I got to the E's. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I saw her posting that she was doing that.
Yeah.
And I saw people my brother actually posted going crossing my fingers that I'm still there.
Yeah.
I believe, yes. That my brother and Stella were friends before I met her.
Yeah. Through they knew each other through the theater yep. and stuff, But yeah, so anyway, I got Stella bought me the Dungeons and Dragons Heroes Feast cookbook.
Cool. That's something
and it's really cool. I've only just kind of glanced through it, but we spent a good 15 minutes actually looking through some of the recipes and stuff. And the cool thing is specifically they're pulling things from D&D lore, from Dragonlance, from Greyhawk, from Eberron. I mean, tons of stuff. And it was like Odic spiced potatoes from the Inn of the Last Home in Dragonlance. That was
the novel. I'm actually finally reading the Dragonlance novels right now.
Really?
Yes.
You've never read the original?
I've read bits and pieces. I read one here and one there, but I read Time of the Twins, but I never read the original 3.
Oh man. So you read the Twins trilogy before you read the original?
I actually only read the first book of that. It's the only one I ever had. I played through the modules, so I know the story.
Okay.
But I never read the book, so I'm like, you know what? It's time I fucking read those books.
Yeah, I actually have the
especially with a new trilogy coming out.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't read a Dragonlance novel in well over a decade. Probably.
Well, there hasn't been any new Dragonlance stuff since 2007.
Right, exactly. But I mean, even just stuff that had been published that I hadn't bought or didn't have, because I have quite a few Dragonlance books. I still have them. And Dragonlance was the first kind of some stuff. What is that? All right. Dragonlance has got some. Dragonlance was the first kind of series of the TSR books that I really got into. Mm-hmm. I started reading some of the Forgotten Realms later.
Well,
but one of the things that's Dragonlance weird. Dragonlance was because I first read the Piers Anthony Xanth novels that was the first fantasy I read. But that came off, it started off kind of like I was like 10 and I got it and I read those and I loved those, but they also are a little light and kind of, a little silly. And then, but I'd always been a big D&D fan. And I think when I was like 14 or so, I started getting into Dragonlance and I still have, I think, all of my Dragonlance books. Yeah. Or I have, I got rid of a few, but then I rebought them
the thing is I got what I looked it up and I'm like, okay, that's the first book. So, because I wanted to make sure I got the right one. I thought I knew which one it was. And so I loaded up and I start reading it and I'm like, wait a minute, this seems like I'm coming in the middle of something.
Right.
But it is the beginning. It's
the beginning of the second trilogy. Essentially, the Majir Brothers trilogy, The Time of the Twins, Test of the Twins, whatever. That was the legends. Yeah. Because there was Chronicles and then Legends. And then, so those were those initial 6 were the basically.
Yeah, Chronicles came first.
Right.
And those that's the thing, though, is that the Chronicles start off and they're coming back to Solace after being away for 5 years, and they're deciding to meet back up. They've been searching for the blue crystal staff. Right. And
the evidence of the gods.
Yes, evidence of the gods. And then they find, and they just Sturm just happens to meet Goldmoon and Riverwind on the way in, and she's got the blue crystal staff, the true healing staff, blah blah blah, and it just starts with that, and they find goblins in town and all this, and I'm like, I feel like I missed something because the way that they're talking, it's like there's like all this stuff that happened before that they don't go into, and you're just thrust right into this.
Yeah, well, the Chronicle story basically starts off the war. Starts off, they go through the main part of the war, and then the Legend series kind of finishes up, like deals with finally defeating Takesis, and it's such a great series. And then there was, of course, there were all the spin-offs and the Legend of Huma and Kaz the Minotaur, and then all of the various different, like the prequels, and like this is the adventures of Tanis before, they re-met up and things like that. I mean, it's such a very rich storytelling, and I'm extremely excited to see what Weiss and Hickman are going to come up with, now. I mean, I remember when they finally did like a follow-up, which was Dragons of Summer Burning or something like that, and it was, I have it in hardcover because I was like, oh my god, and it takes place like 20 years after, Karaman he's in his middle age now, and he's gotten kind of chubby around the belly, and his one son became a Knight of Solamnia, and another son followed in his brother Raslin's footsteps and became a mage of the white robes, and just really, really great stuff. And actually I was talking about a friend of mine posted about how she felt that it's kind of stupid to have, she never understood the idea of why dragons in D&D, like the chromatic dragons would always be evil and that the metallic dragons would always be good. She felt that a hyper intelligent evolved creature like a dragon wouldn't necessarily have itself boxed into an alignment like that.
It wouldn't have that nature built into.
Right, exactly. And that, so she was like, she always thought it was kind of weird, and why can't you have a green dragon that is good, or why can't you have like a copper dragon or a brass dragon that is more selfish or more evil or whatever. And I was like, yeah, that's very, very true. And I guess there are some rules have been put out that kind of note, like if a chromatic dragon acts more good, then maybe the colors of their the more good they lean towards, maybe the colors of their scales start to take on a more glittery sheen, and they end up looking nicer. Whereas a metallic dragon might start to look tarnished or rusty and stuff like that. I was like, oh, that's a pretty cool, if they got more evil. I think that's a pretty cool idea. And then I actually brought up the idea or the fact that in Dragonlance, they did stick to a pretty tight kind of like belief that, yes, the chromatics were evil, the metallics were good, and that was largely tied into their ruling gods, Takesis and Bahamut. But the interesting thing is the player characters were held to a higher like standard when it came to playing your alignment. Like in Dragonlance, you're supposed to have more like a sliding scale of your alignment, and that the DM was supposed to very much pay close attention to your actions as a player. If you strayed too much away from good or lawful good, or or whatever, that you could slip into other alignment statuses, and that could potentially change your abilities and powers, and particularly if you're a mage or a Knight of Solamnia.
I'll tell you, I've done that with one character in my game, in my one D&D game, and I actually did it in in a Dragonlance campaign that I'm playing in. Mm-hmm. My cleric, actually, I started off as neutral good and realized that the way I was playing him wasn't neutral good, mm-hmm. that it was much more lawful good. And I talked to the DM about it, and he's like, I was actually going to talk to you about it. He goes, I've been keeping track. He goes, so if you want to change your alignment, I'm all for it, because that's the way you're playing the character. And I'm like, yeah, that's really what I see that concept is now. The concept I had before, I wasn't thinking it was more of a lawful good concept rather than just neutral good. I was thinking just he's good. He does whatever it is that needs to be done to be good. But then he started doing things like, positioning himself to sacrifice himself so that his companions could get away, and things like that. So it was much more of a lawful good type of thing. So he was all for it.
Right on. Yeah, I think that's definitely something that I think D&D is starting to get moved towards, is like, instead of, I think I've always felt that the alignment should always just be a guideline anyway. Mm-hmm. That you should can potentially adjust your alignment, particularly when you're considering, and it should be a lot more careful if you're playing a paladin or a cleric or something like that, where your alignment is very important to your power set.
I've been reading a lot online where a lot of DMs have just done away with alignment.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, no, you don't have alignment. But if you act certain ways, though, you're going to suffer consequences. One, from laws, and right. Two, from like if a paladin of a good deity starts acting in an evil way, all of a sudden he no longer has his paladin abilities.
Right, exactly. And I also think that, like I said, I've always felt that it should basically be more of a guideline. You start. This is where I'm starting. I'm a chaotic good character, and then if the way the campaign takes you, maybe you stray closer to lawful good or neutral good, or you could start off neutral evil, and eventually you end up being more of a chaotic neutral or something like that. And I just have always felt that they can. You should have pick an alignment at the beginning, so you have a base to work from, and then you can spread out from there.
So I'm going to say right now, this conversation is exactly why people said that we should be doing a podcast, because we go from we went from D&D cookbook right. to alignment mechanics in D&D. Right. So so back to the cookbook.
The cookbook is really cool. It's got some, I wish I had brought it in here. The cookbook is really cool. It's got some great recipes in it. Like I said, specifically the one I recognize was Odix spiced potatoes. In the book, they talk about Odix spiced potatoes a lot. Mm-hmm. Like it was this really something that the innkeeper was known for, these amazing spiced potatoes. But there's a bunch of things. There are a few things that I looked at that was like, oh, this is a shepherd's pie recipe. They just call it, a miner's pie and stuff like that. But the cool thing is they have the recipes divided by human cuisine, elven cuisine, dwarven cuisine, halfling cuisine, and then like other, basically. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And there's some really beautiful photography, some really beautiful artwork that they've pulled from the more recent books. Really, really cool. And I am really looking forward to trying some of these recipes.
Yeah, I had an idea for that, and I'm like, hey, that'd be a cool thing to, get that and maybe do like a cooking video or something like that, and then fucking Ginny D goes and does it.
Yeah,
her and her fiance are like cooking a bunch of recipes from
right
it.
out of Heroes Feast too.
And I'm like, God damn it!
It doesn't mean we couldn't do it. It just means like we'd have to make our apologies, saying like, "Hey, we didn't mean to copy it here." But yeah, I mean, and I've had a number of friends that have been trying. A couple other friends that I know have also picked up this book and have been trying recipes out of it, and it's been pretty cool. They've been liking them and everything. So, but yeah, just really, it's pretty cool. So far. And then the other book that I got to get away from this, she bought me the guidebook for Cyberpunk 2077.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm actually kind of starting. I'm about 2/3 of the way through Cyberpunk now, maybe closer to like 3/4. I've been
you've been playing a lot then, because shit.
I'm over 100 hours in, and I've been playing it, and I haven't actually played it. I haven't played it since Saturday, actually, now. But
you feeling okay?
I know I'm getting a little shaky. I have to play some later. But anyway, it was. I've been really enjoying it, and I think I'm going to use the guidebook a little bit more, maybe on my second playthrough, because I kind of wanted to get through the first one kind of without any help or whatever, and so and now that it's been patched so heavily, I've been able to. I think it's and particularly if I get a PS5 relatively soon.
I can actually play it now, so
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. And we knew this was going to happen. The game has been patched and patched and patched. It is now at a version 1.11. They're saying that 1.2 should come in February, and they're saying that by the 1.2 patch, they should be getting rid of the majority of the big problems, and if it does crash or if you do find a bug, it'll be minor and smaller bugs and stuff.
The thing
they did have to like do a quick hot fix, because they patched it to 1.1 that created like
a game-breaking bug.
Yeah, game-breaking bug. So they did quickly patch it. I also did hear saw a thing recently.
Well, here's the thing: by patching it, though, they actually had to break other things.
Yeah,
including that same quest, I think. Because now Takamura is not calling me, which was the original bug. That's the bug that they fixed, though. No, it's the bug they fixed that broke the game. Because then he would call you and he would just come up. Well, now that they fixed it to where he doesn't call immediately, now he doesn't call me. It has been over 24 hours since well over 24 hours. It's been almost 48 hours now since I actually did the meeting with him and Wakako. Because I've been out to the Badlands, and
you might have one completely,
and hung out with Pan Am and did that whole thing, and that takes over a day, because you actually spend the night in the motel and do that whole thing. So
well, you just might have a broken save now, man. You might have to like go back to a much older save from before.
I don't have any. I would have to restart the fucking game.
What about the autosaves?
I'd have to look, but I mean, I think I'd have to go back to like level 5 if then it's.
Holy shit,
dude! I don't have a lot of old saves like that. That's the whole point was when it broke. I was trying to go back to an older save, and I didn't have any that weren't immediately broken.
I don't know what to tell you then. That sucks. Sorry to hear that. It's and that's the thing. It is still a really good game. It's becoming, and particularly now that they've patched it and fixed a lot of things, it's a lot better than it used to be. I still crash occasionally, but I'm not crashing near as often and whatnot. But I did also hear recently, I saw a thing here that Cyberpunk 2077 devs issued a warning after malicious mod exploits emerge. Apparently, these are for the computer version, obviously, but they're saying that apparently there's some mods out there that actually are that have like exploits in it that can actually cause hackers to get into your computer.
Yeah, I saw something about that earlier.
Yep, a group of community members reached out to us to bring up an issue with the external DLL files the game uses. The issue can be potentially used as a part of a remote code execution on PCs. We appreciate their input and are working on fixing this as soon as possible. In the meantime, we advise everyone to refrain from using files obtained from unknown sources. So it wasn't just the files, it was actually that people were downloading save games. And so that you could play somebody's save game. And that was one of the things that was happening too. Players were alerted that CD Projekt Red's game contained a security vulnerability when using mods or downloaded saves. As the post states, malicious code can be executed through downloaded mods to take control of a user's PC. Holy shit! You gotta admire the irony though of using Cyberpunk 2077 to create like a backdoor into your system. So that's kind of crazy pants.
I haven't tried any mods or anything anyway yet.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm playing on the console, so.
I will say this. I did finally download Skyrim.
The heck you say?
I've played about 20 minutes of it, and that's it. I've played through like the beginning.
Yeah, that's basically just the very beginning of the tutorial.
Yeah, the whole getting out of the tower and everything like that. And it's because I couldn't play Cyberpunk. So I'm like, you know what? I'll figure out something else I can play. And
what do you think so far?
It's okay. I mean, the graphics are definitely a decade old, but...
Well, you're playing it on the computer, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's a lot of mods and whatnot that you can use to update them. And they're not a decade old. They're more like... the original ones were a decade old. But now that when they released the Legendary Edition, which was basically the special edition with all the DLC packaged together, they did a serious upgrade on the graphics and whatnot. So if you bought it through Steam, I would assume. Yeah, that's so you're getting that upgraded.
You're like half out of frame by the way.
You're getting that upgraded kind of thing. So, dude, get into it, man. And it's a game you could easily spend 300-400 hours playing.
Oh, I'm sure, and it'll be one of those that I play off in the background while I wait for other games to come out.
Sure, the mod community is really strong.
Or after the next, Cyberpunk update when they break it again. So,
well, the mods community is really strong for Skyrim. I mean, you can get, especially on the computer, you can get all kinds of crazy mods. I mean, they had a mod where it turned all the dragons' heads into Randy Macho Man Savage. So instead of the dragon like roaring, it would go, "Oh yeah!"
I don't.
There was another one that turned all the dragons into. I know I didn't do that one either, but there were another one that turned all the dragons into Thomas the Tank Engine. So you see Thomas the Tank flying through the air and attacking you and shit. There is also, but there are some really great mods. One mod that I really liked was a mod that basically made it so when it's nighttime, it's fucking dark. And because, in the normal vanilla game, even at night, you can still see and it's not a big deal. But basically, when you're in the dark and you don't have a light source, it's fucking dark and you can't see. So you need like a torch, or you need lit light sources, or you need the light spell to see it. It adds a lot of challenge to the game. And just that little bit is pretty cool. And there's a lot of cosmetic ones that are really cool too. And then there's ones that just like add more content to the game, more missions and more interesting quests and dungeons and stuff like that. Some really fun stuff.
Yeah, I chose Redguard as my race.
It's not bad. You're essentially, the Red Guards are Italians. They're basically they're the guys like are essentially from the I believe, or are they? I think the Red Guards are actually more Moorish, if I remember correctly. Yeah, they're more like Middle Eastern or Moorish. Yeah, and they're saying, I think they're saying the next Elder Scrolls game may essentially be set in where the Red Guard people come from.
Hammerfell or whatever.
Hammerfell, correct. Actually, you're right. Yeah, because the ones that are more like the Romans are like the Imperials. I've played a couple of different times. Of course, and the first time I played as a Nord. I played as the natives in the area.
I almost went for the Nords, but I'm like, nah, I'm gonna do something different.
The cool thing is the game definitely does adjust to the character race you play. So depending on where you go, like if you go to where the blue cloaks are, the blue cloaks are much more storm cloaks. Excuse me, the storm cloaks are much more racist. So if you are anything but a Nord, particularly if you're like a dark elf or a high elf, you'll get treated poorly. But if you're at least a Nord, you'll get kind of treated like, well, you're one of our people, you know. So that's kind of cool. The game definitely does adjust to the kind of character you're playing.
Cool.
So yeah.
All right, well, we haven't even started talking about anything that we were going to talk about yet.
All right, WandaVision.
Well, do you want to do WandaVision, or do you want to touch on some other stuff, and then we'll finish up with WandaVision? Because WandaVision could probably take us the next half an hour easy.
Yeah, let me touch up on a couple of things here. We're hearing good things about Spider-Man 3. If they're saying it's going to be huge, you better buckle up. Tom Holland is extremely proud of what they're doing on the show. You heard a rumor.
Yeah, I heard a rumor today that they're talking about, if it's not in this one, that it may be like a post-credit scene that sets up another movie in the future, and that's that we're going to see Ned as the Hobgoblin.
Right, potentially.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk about Spider-Man 3 being dealing with the multiverse, the Marvel multiverse. So they've already said that Alfred Molina is reprising his role as Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2. There's also hints of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, both previous Spider-Man.
They've confirmed Jamie Foxx is going to be back as Electro.
Jamie Foxx as Electro. There's hints as potentially a character, somebody playing a Miles Morales character. It's very, we're seeing some really awesome stuff. I think it's going to be pretty incredible. So really excited about that.
No Spider-Gwen yet?
No Spider-Gwen yet. The Matrix 4 title has been leaked. The movie will reportedly be called The Matrix Resurrections.
Because the last two weren't bad enough.
You know what? I liked the first sequel. The third one, Revolutions, was definitely problematic, but I liked Matrix 2.
Matrix 2 wasn't 3, bad, but the third one just fucked the whole series.
Matrix Reloaded, and I'll agree. Revolutions definitely, particularly the end. I didn't care for the end.
Yeah.
I liked some of the stuff that they integrated into it, some of the more of the lore, but the way it ended, and that's going to be weird. I'm going to wonder how they're going to do it, because obviously Neo died at the end. So I want to know what they're going to do with this. So
it's the new Neo.
Yeah, but he's in it. Like Keanu Reeves is in it, so we'll see. What else? Star Trek Discovery has gotten the showrunner has dropped some first major hints about season 4, about Burnham's future, villains, and some other things are teased. It was also recently honored and it's being nominated for several GLAAD awards, which is GLAAD, I believe it's. I don't know what the acronym, but it basically has to do with the LGBTQ plus community, and because of the it's some very positive representation of people in the LGBTQ community on that show. So it's pretty cool. But they're dropping a bunch of hits.
To be honest, Stamets and
Hugh.
Yeah, I couldn't think of his husband's name. Their relationship is one of the best romantic relationships I've seen on TV in forever.
Definitely relationship goals, those two. Yeah. I mean, they're really great. I like how they've really expanded Hugh's role. I mean, he is the medical officer, but he's also acts kind of like a counselor as well.
He's really honestly great. Stamets and Reno's relationship is just the best on the show.
So great. I like the fact that Stamets as a character has grown a lot. He's gone beyond just that kind of prickish, elite kind of brainy guy.
The way that he has just adopted, I can't think of the character's name now.
Yeah, the one human that's hosting a trill.
Yes,
Adira.
Yeah,
Adira. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
who is non-binary.
Right. Now that's the other thing, that Adira, they are a great character, and So that character's got a lot of. One of the criticisms was that they introduced that character, but then didn't do a ton with that character, with them. And there's a lot of people saying, well, there's a whole nother season. Don't worry about it. There's more to come. So that's the beauty of a show like this. Like they can do more, and they will do more. Zack Snyder has confirmed that his Justice League is finished.
March 18th.
Yep. And they were just waiting for it now too. So it says the film is due to arrive this March, but it has been a long time coming. A fan campaign to release Snyder's cut was launched in the aftermath of the theatrical Justice League, when it became apparent that Joss Whedon overseeing reshoots had substantially changed the film. Plus the fact that Joss Whedon has they've kind of revealed a certain level of toxicity from him in Hollywood, that he has been kind of a prick to, his set was somewhat toxic apparently. Sorry, that's my desk. In fact, the guy who played Cyborg is pretty much like out. He's done. He's like, I'm out. I'm not doing any of this stuff. He is going to do promotion for Justice League, but they've removed him from potentially showing up in the Flash movie. And it's too bad, because I thought he did a decent job. And I think it's, it just comes down to the fact that as much as I have liked Joss Whedon, apparently the guy has got some learning to do about how you treat people.
Well, and honestly, though, the thing with the guy who played Cyborg too was the first thing he heard was him complaining that he didn't want to say "booyah."
Right. Yeah.
And which to me, I'm like, I don't understand that being an issue. I mean, it's what the character said.
Yeah. He's known. The character in the cartoon was known for saying that.
Yeah.
So, and I think he didn't want to be too heavily associated with Teen Titans Go or whatever. Right? It's okay, fine. But
then you shouldn't have taken the role, honestly. Yeah. I mean,
so it
is. It's. I'm not saying it's a great expression, CD. It's just. I'm just saying that going in that's something that the character has said in other things, and that they may want you to say it in the.
Just so you know, CD, the Trill are not asexual. They are both male and female members of their race. The Trill symbionts are asexual. So
yeah,
they are. That's it. But anyway, it's looking pretty good. They're saying that they only filmed work on the Snyder version of the movie seems to have mainly revolved around VFX and some additional photography that brought Jared Leto's Joker and Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke back into the fold. However, that additional photography only amounts to about 4 minutes of extra footage. Snyder has revealed that around 150 minutes of his cut have never been seen before. So a lot of the stuff that we're going to be seeing, a lot of the new stuff we're seeing is going to be stuff that was cut out of the original, film, and 1, and 2, we're going to see 4 minutes of brand new stuff that they filmed for this. So
I saw something today. I didn't read the article because I didn't have a chance, but it said something about the Zack Snyder cut shows a new look at Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman or something like that.
That's cool. Great. I think she's doing a great job as Wonder Woman personally. I know that some people
I really
don't like her some of her politics and whatnot because apparently her she's Israeli. She was in the Israeli army and whatnot, and so there are some, Stella in particular don't like her stance on the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, but what are you gonna do? I mean,
it's not because she's Israeli, it's because she's a big-time Zionist.
Okay, she's a Zionist apparently. Thank you, so anyway, I have to admit I haven't fully followed a lot of that right now.
Yeah, I didn't think Wonder Woman 84 was as good as it could have been.
I think you're right. I think it could have been better. I thought, like I said, I gave it about a B. It was entertaining for me, and
the end sucked.
I didn't care for the ending as much. I think on both of the Wonder Woman films, the endings were some of the weaker.
Like I said, the idea, I can suspend disbelief. I can watch a superhero movie and enjoy it, but it gets beyond my ability to suspend disbelief when you believe that when you have to believe that the entire world would give up their wishes to save themselves, let alone humanity.
Mm-hmm. No, I feel you on that, man. I feel it was asking a lot. It was asking a lot of people. So, but to move on here, I got some news about the Final Fantasy VII remake. The devs have teased a little of what the part 2 could offer. They're saying it's going to be even bigger than the first part. Final Fantasy VII remake developers Yoshinori Kitase and Naoki Hamaguchi have revealed what they want to achieve in part 2 of the highly anticipated remake. Speaking at the CEDEC conference and translated by Twitter, by a particular Twitter user, Kitase stated that the studio hopes that part 2 not only surprises but also goes beyond fan expectations. Hamaguchi said that he can't reveal much about the development of part 2. He did say the team wants to take the level of detail found in Midgar in the first part of Final Fantasy VII Remake and apply it to the rest of the world in part 2. The Square Enix employee also shared an interesting fact about the staff working on part 2, revealing that when we were creating part 1, most of the staff who wanted to join our team were fans of the original game. However, right now, the new staff who want to work on the game are those who played the remake and would like to be on board for part 2. So I haven't played the remake yet. I was really, really looking forward to it, but when they announced that it was going to be released in parts, I was like, I'll wait.
Well, and I didn't realize how small the first part was. Renee played through it in like a weekend. It was so fast. I mean, it might be 30 hours at most of gameplay. And to me, for a $60 game, that's too small. That is too little of amount of gameplay.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't even think it's that many. I think it might have been 20 hours.
Yeah. So, and that's why I mean, granted, it would retailed only at $40 instead of the normal 60, which is good. Because it's not a complete game. I mean, but still, I think I'd rather buy all of them together. I think I'll just get them all at once, or they'll probably release one where it's all together, maybe with some special stuff or whatever, and I'll get it then.
Well, the problem is now you're talking about they're going to wind up on different platforms. So they're going to have to re-release it for the 5, because by the time they're done with this game, the 4, they're not going to be making games for 4.
Correct. Right. Now thankfully, at least one of the best parts about the 5 is that it is so heavily backwards compatible. So yeah, and that's great. So we're not gonna have to worry about whether we're going to be able to play it or not, if we buy a version 4. Also, we heard this week it was announced that the Black Panther writer and director is reportedly expanding the world of Wakanda as part of a 5-year exclusivity deal. Black Panther writer and director Ryan Coogler is developing a Wakanda series for Disney+. In a press release obtained by THR, Disney announced a 5-year deal with Coogler, which includes a series expanding the world of Wakanda as well as other unannounced projects. We don't have specifics on the plot or characters, but with Coogler at the helm, we can rest assured the Disney Plus series is in good hands. It's an honor to be partnering with the Walt Disney Company. Working with them on Black Panther was a dream come true, Coogler said in a statement. The deal with Disney could also allow Coogler's proximity media to develop series for Disney's other TV outlets. So we could see maybe him make something for Hulu or whatnot too. Now, there has been no talk as to what exactly the show could entail, but my guess is it'll be everything except the Black Panther. Yes. Because Black Panther will probably be relegated more likely to the various movies. Now, we're not going to see, of course, a new Black Panther. They're not recasting Black Panther, but Black Panther 2, they're going to be working on that. Excuse me, yeah. Feige confirmed that the late Chadwick Boseman won't be digitally added to Black Panther 2, nor will the actor's role be recast. We're not going to have a CG Chadwick, and we're not recasting T'Challa. Feige said, Ryan Coogler is working very hard right now on the script with all the respect and love and genius that he has, which gives us great solace. So it's always about furthering the mythology and the inspiration of Wakanda. There's also the task of honoring and respecting the ongoing learnings and teachings from Chad as well. So that's pretty awesome. Yeah. I'll watch a World of Wakanda TV show. Absolutely. So the only other thing I kind of had here is that they're already, with the Suicide Squad coming out pretty soon, they've already preparing to make a spinoff with the Peacemaker, which is the character played by, what's his name? The wrestler. Oh my God, I can't believe
the wrestler.
Yeah, he's one of the.
I don't even remember who's in Suicide Squad now.
Well, it's such a huge cast. John Cena. John Cena is playing the Peacemaster, and he refers to him as like, what if Captain America was an asshole? And that's pretty funny. The Peacemaker is kind of more like the Punisher, if the Punisher didn't kill quite as much. But the Peacemaker, a spinoff of the upcoming DC movie The Suicide Squad, has added 2 new cast members. According to Deadline, Elizabeth Faith Ludlow and Rizwan Manji have joined the lineup in recurring roles. Ludlow will play a character called Kia, and Manji will portray Jamil, though further details on both characters are unknown. I think this is actually being done as a potential like series. Ludlow is probably best known for playing Arat on The Walking Dead, and she also appeared in James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy as Iasik Mother, as well as Godzilla King of the Monsters as First Lieutenant Griffin. Manji has appeared in Schitt's Creek as Ray Buteni and Mr. Robot as Norm. And Steve Agee, who plays both Belle Reborn and John Economos and Walking, Talking Shark, King Shark in the Suicide Squad, has also recently joined the cast of the series. So, yeah. Peacemaker will follow John Cena's eponymous character, a man so committed to peace he's willing to kill for it. Plot details are under wraps at the moment. It's not even known it will be a prequel or sequel to the Suicide Squad, though Gunn, the film's director, has previously teased that no character is safe in the film, so don't assume a spinoff means Peacemaker will make it through the movie in one piece.
Yeah, it's funny. I just actually looked it up to see who it was as you were talking, and you said Cena before I pulled it up, but yeah. I pulled it up.
Is a series.
I just did Suicide Squad Peacemaker, and one of the things that comes up is from 15 hours ago, John Cena shows off his douche bro, the Suicide Squad hero Peacemaker, for Jimmy Fallon. He actually has the costume on while he's talking to Fallon.
That's awesome. But yeah, it is being. It's going to be a series apparently. Looks like probably on HBO Max, I would assume. So I'm excited about this new Suicide Squad movie. I think it's going to be the shit. James Gunn is a hell of a movie maker, so looking forward to it. So we should probably, it's getting late, so we should probably get into WandaVision.
Well, one thing before we get into that, just real quick. Last week when you weren't here, we had Renee and Pete on from the Tavern Nights show, and we did kind of a D&D-esque show, and very, very D&D focused, where we talked about a bunch of different things D&D and the campaign, the Tavern Nights campaign. I called the episode Tavern Talk, which is actually the name of another show that I've been kind of throwing around the idea of doing, which on the maybe not the same week that we do the Tavern Nights show, but maybe the off week, doing something.
Which we did have a Tavern Nights last Friday, guys. If you didn't check it out, check it out on our.
And so I was actually thinking about maybe doing it next Monday, if people can get together. But it's one of those things where I'm still playing around with when we can do it and how we want to do it. If we actually want to do it as a Twitch show or just throw it up on YouTube or something like that. Mm-hmm. But it was a blast. I will tell you this. I know you haven't watched it yet, but we went 2 full hours. And wow. The thing is that it was like at an hour and 45 before I realized how long we had been talking. Because it went by so fast. It was so much fun. I had a blast doing it. And I mean, D&D is one of my favorite things to talk about. Obviously. I talk about it all the time. So, and this campaign has just been so much fun, and talking about things that have already happened. I mean, we've been going for almost a year and a half now. So a lot of stuff happened before we even started showing it on Twitch and on YouTube. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to talk about even then. So watch for that, you guys, in the future. We may be doing something along those lines. It may not be the same group every time. I will most likely be there just because I am the one that runs all the technical stuff.
You're the tech guy. I'm the tech guy. Most probably I'll be there as well.
Yeah. Unless you're, driving a moving van back from.
Oh.
So
I needed more to drink.
All right, so let's talk WandaVision. We got 2 episodes. So the first week we got 2 episodes.
Right.
And
episodes 3 and 4 we're talking about.
And now over the last 2 weeks, because we didn't get to talk about it last week, we have episode 3, which we would have talked about last week, and then episode 4, which was from this week.
Now, 3, we had the show, basically they had progressed into the 70s,
Yeah, they moved to color.
They moved to color, and the show very much was kind of reminiscent of like a Brady Bunch kind of later Brady Bunch episode.
Mary Tyler Moore. The opening was actually very Mary Tyler Moore. That whole thing that was actually right from Mary Tyler Moore. The staircase was right out of the Brady Bunch.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I felt like it was kind of this late Bewitched, later Brady Bunch, like Mary Tyler Moore kind of feel, maybe Rhoda. It was definitely that era, the 70s era, particularly when you see like the Vision with his kind of thicker, longer hair and his sideburns, and the other characters and stuff. Yeah, the
big butterfly collars. And...
yeah, the neighbor with the big afro, very 70s kind of afro. Geraldine's character being very like, very stereotypical.
She had the afro going too.
She did too, but she also had that stereotypical like kind of early like 70s sassy black lady kind of character that you would see in those kind of sitcoms and stuff. So
and her outfit was very 70s.
Oh yeah, they were all
the fish on the bell bottom pants, and
I mean all of them were very much so. But we also saw like Wanda going through her pregnancy within like 24 hours, and it was pretty crazy, that what was interesting too is the fact that like all the characters just accept what's happening, even no matter how weird it is. It's a sitcom.
Every once in a while you see things like Herb, he's out cutting the bushes,
right,
and all of a sudden
he's cutting into the
wall, and Vision makes a comment about it. He's like, I think you went a little too far there. He's like, oh, I have. And he just keeps cutting.
Yeah, people have been saying that was kind of a part of that was like a kind of a hint, kind of like him slowly starting to break down. Like, you got to get through the wall. You're getting through the wall, trying to get through the wall.
I've heard things. The speculation is it's showing how they're trapped and all this. And
I like the fact that at one point Agnes is talking to them and they're kind of in a hushed kind of way. Like maybe they're living their lives. Maybe they're a little more aware of things when they're not actively, interacting with Wanda and the Vision. That because she was. They were the ones that were like, well, Geraldine, she doesn't have a home. They're trying to express to him that there's something odd about Geraldine. And
no family, no home.
Right, yeah. So they could obviously tell that something is off. And that was one of the earlier kind of ideas that they might be a little more aware of what's going on, than
well, and Geraldine had that sword necklace too, which was basically it was like her lanyard.
Right. Yeah. That was one of the things that set off Wanda too, after she had the two babies, which are basically Tommy and Billy from Young Avengers. Tommy became
they were also in the Wanda and Scarlet Witch and Vision comics,
right, when they were babies.
Yes.
But those characters
pieces of Mephisto.
Yeah, they were. Well, basically, what happened is that Wanda used her abilities to take the parts of Mephisto's soul and create beings, create like her children. Because I mean, how could a synthezoid impregnate a mutant, even a human? Essentially. So she using her magic, essentially her mutant ability and magic, she created these lives. Now those characters, those souls or whatever, went on later on and were essentially reincarnated into the characters of Billy Kaplan and Tommy, I can't remember Tommy's last name, but the two characters Wiccan and Speed, who became characters in the Young Avengers. Now Speed is essentially
really looks like the MCU is setting up.
Yeah, yes, very much so. I mean, considering that the Hawkeye, the young female Hawkeye character is being introduced in the Hawkeye series.
Yeah, Kate Bishop.
these characters are also being introduced. Probably, in fact, there's rumor that the guy who played Quicksilver in the MCU in the X-Men movies, will be reprising his role, but potentially as an adult Speed or as a older teenage.
Well,
Tommy.
I had actually also heard that he may be coming in as Pietro.
Yes.
And that's where they're going to start introducing the multiverse, because things are going to start breaking down, and that Wanda's going to find out that there's another universe where Pietro's still alive, and that people like her are called mutants, not whatever they are in this.
Whatever they are here.
Yeah.
And that's how they're, I mean, see, now that's conceivably an idea. The problem is then we're, for the X-Men and the Avengers characters to interact, then we're talking multiversal, transportation, and I'd rather them all be on the same world.
Me too.
So we'll see how that plays out. I'm still really excited though to see what we're seeing. I mean, I loved the fact that they kind of, in her little created universe there, that the pregnancy was causing her powers to go haywire.
Which shows that she doesn't necessarily have control over the environment.
Exactly. Correct. That something as strenuous as going through labor would cause her powers to go haywire and the environment to go haywire. And it was just really, really cool. I loved the one of the cool things too about it that I loved was the stork.
Yes.
That
was immune to her power.
Yeah. And then on top of it too, it was very much one of those kind of tropes that you would see in early sitcoms where they had to keep somebody from seeing something that was weird. And that's what she was doing. She had trying to make sure that Geraldine didn't see, at first didn't see her pregnancy, but also then later didn't see the stork.
Yeah, and there's been speculation that I've seen that the stork is actually Mephisto, and I'll get into my ideas later because it comes in more after the 4th episode. Okay. And I actually have some other ideas about what's going on the show. And
well, we're going to get into the 4th episode, but before we do that, there were one or two other things. I did notice too, like the doctor, he was looking to try and take a trip out of town. And then
his car broke down.
Then his car broke down. And then at the end, he's kind of like, well, maybe I should just stay anyway.
Because his comment to Vision is, small towns, so hard to escape from, I think is what he said.
Something like that, yeah. So, I mean, the show is just getting consistently better and better and better. I mean, I remember the first episode or two, and I saw a lot of people kind of go, I don't know if this is for me. I'm like, I don't know if this is, just because it's different from anything else we've seen on coming out of the MCU. I mean, this is really very different, and I'm really excited to see if there's going to be any kind of discussion about what happens in this show on Falcon and the Winter Soldier. If there's ever going to be any fallout from that as well. I did actually, out of side note, I think I saw a trailer or a teaser for She-Hulk today.
Huh.
That's not due out until 22 for the She-Hulk TV show, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't think it was fan made. It didn't look like it was fan made. Sometimes you'll see it attached. It looked like it was attached to Disney Plus. So we'll see. But anyway, so episode 4, we finally get concrete answers. At least more than we'd ever gotten out of any of the episodes before. The first 3 episodes, of course, are wrapped pretty tightly in the Vision and Scarlet Witch's little surreal sitcom world. And this episode, we finally get to see some serious answers. And I think, so we do learn that Geraldine is Monica Rambeau.
Well, yeah, so at the end of 3...
Right. I guess we should preface it with that.
Yeah. So at the end of 3, there's a big moment where Geraldine helps deliver the twins.
Yes, my bad. It's just totally a huge thing.
Yeah, this is a huge thing. So she helps deliver them. Then Vision shows up with the doctor to deliver the second one, and then Vision and the Doctor are gone.
Right.
They leave, and Wanda and Geraldine are there, and Wanda mentions that she was a twin.
Yeah, that she was a
and
twin.
That her brother Pietro, she had a brother Pietro, and then she starts singing a
Sokovian lullaby.
Sokovian lullaby, and Geraldine stands there, and she gets this like confused look on her face for a second, and then she's like, "He was killed by Ultron."
Yeah, and that was where we see the first time. Straight up, we see somebody really going, yeah, holy shit.
And you could tell she was confused by it because she didn't it was like she didn't understand the context.
Right.
But she's like, he was killed by Ultron.
She knew the fact, but she didn't know where it was coming from
or
what it meant. Yeah.
And
Wanda goes, what did you say?
And, and she's like, and then winds up, next thing you know, there she's like talking to her, I think you should leave. And then the next thing you know, Vision comes back in and Geraldine's gone.
Yeah.
And Vision's blurry in the background. And Wanda's standing by the crib or the
bassinet or whatever.
Yeah, bassinet. And she's like, and he's like, "Where's Geraldine?" And she's like, "Oh, she had to leave."
Yeah, and I think when Vision comes in too, she sees him initially and is like more corpse-like.
Well, that's the thing. He's blurry at first, and then she turns and he is a corpse.
Right.
He is a walking corpse with a big hole in his head where Thanos had pulled the gem out, and it was that was a freaky scene.
Yeah,
and she's like, huh! And then closes her eyes and then looks up and he's fine.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think so. And then you see the final scene. You see basically Monica just or Geraldine, being thrust out of town,
out of the force field,
right,
and tumbling with the Scarlet Witch's red energy around her.
Yeah. And then you see the Scarlet Witch basically reassemble the wall, and
you don't.
Oh no, you see that in the following
episode,
right?
Yeah, you don't see any of that. You just see Geraldine go flying out. You don't see any of the other stuff.
Episode 4 was so good though, because we got to see.
Well, I love the title of it too. We interrupt this program.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, and we got to see it gave us a whole lot of
answers. A lot of answers, not just for this, but for previous things too.
Yeah, follow up to what happened to a lot of people after they came back from the snap.
Yep.
From the blip, as they call it.
Yeah, the blip.
Because Geraldine is Monica Rambeau, who was the character was Maria Rambeau's younger daughter. Maria Rambeau was Captain Marvel's friend and partner.
Carol Danvers' best friend.
Carol Danvers' friend and partner in Captain Marvel. And then, but in Captain Marvel, Monica was just a little girl in the, mid-90s or early 90s, mid-90s. So now we see Monica all grown up, and she is a member of SWORD.
And the episode starts with Monica being reassembled after the snap.
Yeah, from when the Hulk was able to reverse Thanos's blip, and she kind of wakes up and she sees her hands reforming.
Iron Man that did it.
No, this was when the Hulk snapped everybody back. Iron Man snapped Thanos away.
Oh.
So the Hulk was the one that reversed it initially. So
it's been a long time since I've seen Endgame.
I know. But anyway, so yeah, she sees her hands reforming, and then she looks over and she's in the hospital room. She's where's my mother? And she
the bed's empty.
Bed's empty, and she goes running around looking and asking, where's my mother? She sees a doctor. I mean, and the hospital's going nuts, right?
Yeah, and you see people just appearing,
right?
Just reforming,
right? And then they see, she asked me, where's this? Go, I don't know. I have to call my wife. Whatever.
Yeah. You got a phone? I got to call my wife. And people are saying there's too many people. The hospital can't handle it.
Right. And this is pretty incredible because these were answers that people were looking for as to what happened that have been, touched on a little bit. Like in Far From Home, they they touched on it a bit about like Aunt May reappearing in her old apartment that had been sold, after the blip, and and various people just
and
showing
all the kids
up.
coming back to school and having to go back to school.
Yeah, or reappearing. Pretty much everybody reappeared where they were when they were blipped away. So I mean, and that stands to reason. What about the people that were driving? What about the people that were flying?
Yeah,
in planes and stuff like that. So my guess is
that's one. I don't know that they're going. I don't think that we're going to get that.
No, my guess.
I think they reappear in the plane.
In the plane, right? Exactly. So, so that could potentially be a big, kind of an issue. But it showed that Monica had been a member of SWORD, which is a division or an offshoot of SHIELD.
Well, we find out that Maria died 3 years before.
Yes,
and or 2 years after Monica disappeared.
After her disappeared. Yeah, and Maria was the head of SWORD. She had become, thanks to her interactions with aliens and whatnot, using from Captain Marvel, she had been one of the people that had founded or first started working for SWORD, which was sentient world.
Sentient weapon.
So it is sentient weapon. Observation.
Something.
SWORD. So something research division, probably research.
Yeah.
So and basically their goal is to protect the planet.
Sentient weapon observation and response department.
Response department. Okay. So their job is to, respond to potential extraterrestrial threat and whatnot. Now, the other question that people were making was, if there was a SWORD, where was SWORD during the Avengers, the incident that happened in the first Avengers movie? Why didn't they respond when they were invaded? Well, a lot of people say, well, it just happened so fast. They weren't able to respond. I mean, the invasion of New York it happened within, they entered through a gateway, and it happened within minutes and was over within hours. So people are like, well, how come they didn't respond? Well, maybe they did respond. We just didn't see those aspects of it. So anyway,
we were focused on the Avengers.
Right. Maria ran it, and Monica worked under her mother, obviously. And there was when Monica shows up to work, maybe a week after the blip or whatever. 3 weeks. Excuse me, 3 weeks
they
after the blip.
Mentioned it.
Yeah. And I believe she was one of the first to return to work.
Yeah, he says you were the first. It's been 3 weeks. You're the first to come back.
Oh, okay, great. So,
just watched it again today.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't watch it I watched it on Friday. But people were like, the guy who is running SWORD had said, "I wish you had been here. You were pretty much next in line." She goes to
swipe her card and it doesn't work, and the guy at the desk is a dick
about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
of course,
it's like, I work here. He's like, well, then your card would work, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like, fuck you, dick.
Right. Yeah. Like, come on. Like a military kind of installation isn't already going to be a dick. I mean, that's what they are. But anyway, so Monica is more or less grounded for now, because from what her mom had set up ahead of time was like, if anybody comes back, they don't get to, they're grounded at first.
Yes. They don't get to go to space.
We got to figure things out first, and that was pretty cool, because it did establish that Maria had faith that her daughter would be back at some point, and that's with the guy running SWORD ends up mentioning to her. So she ends up getting a case where she goes out to work with the FBI about a missing person, and a weird thing that's going on over in Jersey. So she meets up.
It's just a missing person at that point. That's all she's told.
Right.
Because.
So she meets up with Randall Park, who's playing Jimmy Woo. Randall Park is kind of one of the better known Asian American actors these days. He's been in a lot of stuff. Yeah, and he plays Jimmy Woo. Jimmy Woo is a character that's been in Marvel Comics since the 60s. He is established as an FBI agent, particularly working with. He was established to be kind of one of those characters that was a bridge between Shang-Chi and Iron Fist, and being a cop or an FBI agent, stuff like that. So characters or stories that were bent towards kung fu movies and kung fu stories. And so Jimmy Woo was a pretty important character
He was introduced into the MCU in Ant-Man and Wasp.
And correct, in Ant-Man and Wasp. And it was funny because he's obviously this FBI guy, but he also seems to be, he starts off in the comics, he starts off as an FBI agent and then ends up working for S.H.I.E.L.D. So then, yeah, he's in Ant-Man, he's like kind of Ant-Man and the Wasp, he's kind of a schmuck. He's like, seems like he wants to be, Paul Rudd's, or Scott Lang's friend, as opposed to, he's like, yeah, well, this is my job. I'm an FBI agent. And you're the guy I'm kind of keeping an eye on. But he really kind of would rather be his buddy, and it was just kind of.
Except that he does try and catch him.
Right, he's doing his job.
Yeah.
He's a dedicated FBI agent. But at the same time, I think he kind of likes Scott Lang because Scott Lang's a likable guy.
Well, and, they talk about it afterwards. He's like, well, I'm not free tonight, but maybe.
If you want to hang out, yeah. And it seems and he ends up learning the sleight of hand because Scott Lang was learning it, and it's great. Yeah, when he introduces him, gets introduced to Monica, he, flips out the card like it, and hey, this is my card, and so that was kind of cool. So then we see Monica she notices this force shield, this energy shield that's around the town. They notice
she doesn't notice it at first. She sends when they get closer,
right? And they also have noticed that anybody in the area doesn't remember.
Yeah. They're standing right next to a sign that says Westview,
right?
And they're talking
the two
to
cops
a sheriff.
Are like,
yeah, there's no Westview.
There's no such thing as Westview, and they're like, really? There's no such thing. Where do you come? Where do you live? Eastview. Oh, okay, yeah, great. Yeah. We'll let you know. We'll keep you posted.
Yeah.
So, what I want to know? I want to know who the witness in witness protection is in that town.
Yes.
That's what I really want to know. I want to know who is in that town. I think it might be Agnes, but
there's a couple of things. So I don't think it's Agnes.
Oh no, that's right. Because then they'd know who she was.
Yeah, because that was one of the things that came up later. But
right.
But anyway, so she sends the drone in, which is a little helicopter with the sword emblem and 57 on the side.
Right. It's like this kind of it's helicopter shaped.
Yes.
And that's why when Wanda finds the little helicopter toy in episode 2, we were like, oh, what is this?
Yeah. So they send it in. It disappears. So Monica walks up to starts walking towards the town, and her and Wu have already talked, and she's like, well, why haven't you gone in? He's like, because it doesn't want me to. Right. Yeah. You can feel that too, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so she winds up walking up, and she sees it, and it's the first time we get a good look at the force field that's around the town, and it looks like a TV screen if you're too close to it, like the old tube TVs. If you got way up close to it, you had that color gradient on the screen that you could see, and she starts touching it, and Wu's like, don't do that. And she sticks her hand in it and gets sucked in.
Sucks right in, right? Yeah. Yeah, I think, and I was like, oh, okay, all right. That's how Geraldine gets pulled in. All right, That's figures. So then he basically calls in all the big guns. He's like, all right. And so then they set up a base of operations outside. And this is where, where all the scientists, they can bring in scientists. And then this is where, of course, where we see Dr. Darcy Lewis.
I fucking love her. I love Kat Denning. I think she's super hot and just super cool. And I love every character that I've seen her play. She was one of the main reasons I watched Two Broke Girls, because her character was fucking hilarious. And I think Darcy is one of my favorite characters in the MCU because of her personality. Look, meow meow.
Yeah. I read that one of the reasons why her role expanded in Thor and Thor 2 was because she was really tight with Natalie Portman. I guess they've been friends for years, and because their chemistry was so good personally, their friendship chemistry came across in the movies. So that's why she said that they kept adding her into scenes and adding more stuff, and so that's why she got.
I like that. So they're in the back of a military vehicle, a sword vehicle, and she's like, and she starts talking because that's Darcy.
Right.
And she's talking to there's 4 of them in the back, and she's like, okay, well, what's your specialty? And the guy's like, we're not supposed to talk. She's like, okay, Boy Scout leader, got it. What about you? And she goes through everyone, and she's like, okay, I'm astrophysics. So he's like, well, I'm a chemical engineer, and she's like, nobody cares.
Right. At that point, and she's nobody cares. And I did also like the fact that they're like, Miss Lewis, Dr. Lewis, and you're like, whoa. Well, when you really think about it, it's probably been 8 to 10 years since her character has been introduced in the MCU because...
Well, the last time we saw her was Dark World.
Right. But like I said, it's been 8 to 10 years since her character has been introduced in the setting because everybody's got to remember everything that happens now is 5 years later
than the previous MCU.
Right. So because it took place because Endgame, the difference between Infinity War and Endgame was 5 years.
Yep.
And a lot of people, myself included, I got to remind myself that sometimes. So Darcy, why wouldn't Darcy have gone on to get her doctorate?
Yeah, especially if she wasn't one that got snapped.
Right. Exactly. So I was like, oh, okay, fucking cool. And she's the one that really helps to figure it out. I've heard a few people
I absolutely love her in this though.
She's so good. She's so great.
Is there someplace a girl can get a cup of coffee around here?
Yeah. No.
Okay. Yeah. Just.
I figured it out. Can I get that coffee now? She's like, I need a TV, an old one, like not flat, you know. And I liked her interaction with Jimmy Woo too.
Yes.
Like the two of them kind of like, do you want one? Oh yeah, maybe someday. I've thought about. Oh, you mean the chips? Yeah. I don't.
This I think was my favorite episode by far.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But we also get to learn a few other things. One, that at the end of episode 1, the person taking notes was Darcy.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, the one who was sitting in front of the screens and taking notes and stuff. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
And writes stuff down and closes the book, puts the pen on it, and kind of moves it over to the side. That's Darcy.
I also liked I liked how they kind of explained a lot of it, like when the guy in like an environmental suit goes under the sewer and gets in, and then he transforms into the guy in the beekeeper outfit.
Well, and the cable that they had attached to him falls off because it turns into a jump rope.
Jump rope, right? Yeah. Yeah, that was really cool. Some really, really cool stuff. And
which actually that killed a lot of fan theories because they were saying that it was like the beekeeper thing was actually an AIM suit. And,
right, yeah.
And all that. And they're like, nope, that kills that.
Yeah, I think that was one of those things where people went, fuck. Yeah. It's like,
and I didn't believe that one to begin with. I figured it was just something to do with the environment that it was in.
If they're going to introduce AIM, I don't think they're going to introduce AIM in.
Well, they introduced AIM in Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3, correct? Yeah, Advanced Idea Mechanics, and so I think that's coming later. That's going to be something else. But yeah.
So we get that. We also find out we get really confirmation that it was Jimmy Woo that's actually the one trying to talk to Wanda through the radio.
Right. Yes.
And we see that the commercials even come through to them because they're sitting there watching the show basically, and watching the episodes, and you see the watch commercial come on. Which, by the way, we didn't talk about the commercial in the 3rd episode, which is for Hydra soap. Or Hydra soap,
yeah.
Which is a Hydra soap. And the bubbles were blue, which actually goes back to something. And I know you haven't watched all
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, I watched the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff where they're in that alternate universe where Coulson is a conspiracy theory nut, and he mentions. I remember. I saw that's how they get you. I make my own soap now because the blue soap and the absorb it and.
I saw that episode. I stopped. Okay. I kind of backed away from the show. I think around after season 5. I think so. I do have a couple of seasons to catch up. So, but I really wish that they would release the last couple of seasons on DVD or Blu-ray. They haven't. I think I've got up to season 5 on Blu-ray. But
okay. But yeah, so you still see that, and I mean, basically they're all sitting around and analyzing the show, and they're like, "What's that? What's that? What's that?" And then they decide to start identifying the people that are in there.
Correct. Yeah.
And so they're finding, and they're all people from New Jersey. So they're probably people from Westview, and
right, people that actually do live in that town.
Yeah. So they're putting them up on this board, and at the same time as they're identifying them. And this is also great. Jimmy's just writing notes on a big whiteboard. And it's where we start realizing that the hexagon has a huge thing to play in this, which we saw at the beginning of the third episode. It was all hexagons. There's 6 stars. Excuse me. There's 6 stars around the moon in a hexagon shape at the beginning of the second episode. Monica is wearing hexagon earrings in the third episode. There are all sorts of hexagon. Also, the force field is in a hexagon shape around the town.
Oh, really? I didn't know that one.
Yeah, they show the map, and you can see that it's a hexagon. But yeah, so that's one of the things he writes is why hexagon. Is Vision alive? That was one of his notes. Things like that. But as they're putting people up on the board, I actually paused it because I wanted to see something, because I saw that what's her name is up there. Agnes is up there, but she doesn't have an ID. She doesn't have anything next to it. And there's another one that's missing on that board, and it's Dottie. She's not even up there.
Well, there's a lot of people that have speculated that Dottie is Mephisto, or that Dottie.
I think Dottie, and see, this is where my thing comes in. I don't think it's Mephisto.
I don't think so either.
I think Dottie's Hecate.
Okay, the goddess of magic. I mean,
yes, that goes back to some of the things that have been said. Agnes mentions that Dottie is the one that is in charge.
The devil's in the details.
The devil's in the details, and it's not the only place he is. But her roses bloom under penalty of death. But also, then the commercial for the Hydra Soak released the goddess within.
Oh. All right. Well, it's just going to be interesting to introduce a character that nobody we've ever seen anything about.
Well, we haven't seen anything about Mephisto either.
True, but Mephisto is an existing character in the Marvel Universe. I mean, Hecate is not.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. And she's been involved with the Scarlet Witch before.
Hecate?
Yes. And with Agatha.
Agatha Harkness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is who I think Agnes actually is. I do believe too. That. I think that's what we're going to see there, is that actually is.
I think so too. I think when I first saw her as Agnes, and then I saw in the promo shots where she's wearing a witch's costume and talking to the Vision, and she's the one that's saying, "I think you're dead," and I was like, oh no, she's totally Agatha Harkness. Agatha Harkness is a character who was in the Marvel Universe in the comic books. She is a witch, a fairly powerful one that has actually helped train Wanda in the use of her power, which isn't magical, and then also in her usage of real magic. So because that's the thing, in the comics, Wanda does actually learn how to do real sorcery, because it helps her in utilizing and controlling her mutant ability, which is probably the control and shifting of probabilities. Once again, in fact, from what I understand, when they created the Scarlet Witch, when Stan Lee and I think it was John Romita created the Scarlet Witch, they purposely left her powers somewhat ambiguous, because they wanted a Deus Ex Machina that they could use from time to time to kind of get out of rough spots in stories and stuff like that.
Yeah, so just so you know, Hecate was introduced in Ms. Marvel number 11 in 1977.
All right.
created by Chris Claremont and Sal Buscema.
Well, the gods have, the Greek and Roman, or the Greek gods specifically, have shown up and are a part of the Marvel universe. I mean, Zeus, specifically Hercules, he's probably one of the best examples of that. So yeah, the gods of the Grecian, the Greek myths and stuff do show up in the Marvel universe. I just off the top of my head, it didn't really ring a bell. So. It's entirely possible, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know that they're going to bring in Mephisto.
I don't think so either.
I don't know that they want to bring in a devil character.
I agree.
So I think doing a Greek god or goddess would be more acceptable.
I think if they're going to bring in Mephisto, it's going to be more so in in one of the more creepy, like shows. Like if they were to have the Ghost Rider show. Like they had originally planned.
I could even see him coming into Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange or Hellstrom, things like that. The new Hellstrom show, on Hulu, which I haven't watched yet.
Yeah, I haven't watched that yet either. So
I heard it was cool.
But anyway, so back to the show though. So we get through this whole thing, and it's all basically outside of the town until the end when Darcy and Wu are watching the show, and they get to where the twins are born, and you see the conversation between Wanda and Geraldine, and Geraldine says the thing about he was killed by Ultron, and both of them are like, "Wait, did she just say Ultron?"
Right.
And then all of a sudden, there's like the little glitch, and her and Vision are sitting down on the couch with the twins to watch TV. And they even rewind it, and they're like, something's wrong there. And then that's where we actually see, because that's the thing. We actually don't see the Vision dead in the third one. We see it in this one. It was in the fourth episode. Because that's where the whole thing where she throws Geraldine out the window, out the wall, or through the wall, through multiple walls and fences, and shoots her out the thing. And then you see her recreate it, and then Vision comes in, and then you see him dead. And then she fixes everything, and then they sit down on the couch, and that's where it ends.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And a lot of the people in the credits are like people who work on the show.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That they
I noticed that too. That was pretty cool. I tell you, man, I'm really excited. I cannot wait until the next episode. I mean, we just had episode 4. There's 9 episodes. We got 5 more weeks.
Yep.
I really want to know what's going to happen next. Now, the next show, if you look at what the promos and stuff showed, that we're probably going to see a sitcom set in the 80s, probably specifically the one where we see Wanda and the Vision in a more like fabric-oriented costumes that
in like their original 80s costume, 70s, 80s costumes, which I think is hilarious.
Yes, and in fact, from what I understand, Elizabeth Olsen actually fought to make sure that her costume looked like the Scarlet Witch's costume from the comics and stuff, that it looked like that 80s, unitard kind of thing with
no straps and
the headdress that she wears and a cape, and so that should be entertaining. That should be a lot of fun, actually.
Well, and Vision just in like a cloth costume that looks like the old green and yellow
with like a seriously purpley crimson fucking face. Yeah.
But this show has been fantastic. This
really
may be one of my favorite things in the MCU. So,
I mean, and the cool thing is people have been steak in my teeth. I had a steak for my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
This show has been so well received that people are like, we need to have more with these characters, showing how that these second and third tier characters like Darcy Lewis, like Jimmy Woo, can really shine in these shows. Monica Rambeau is probably going to have a much bigger role in Captain Marvel 2.
Yes,
because in the comics, Monica Rambeau is a Captain Marvel. She was the
She was
African
Captain Marvel
American
before Carol Danvers was.
right. And this was back when Carol Danvers was out in space as binary with the Starjammers, you know, and she was a whole different character and tapped into a deeper part of her powers and didn't have her memories didn't have all of her memories because Rogue had absorbed all of her power and stuff. And then Monica Rambeau got her power. She was very powerful. She could transform herself and control the electromagnetic spectrum. So she could become light or X-rays or gamma rays or cosmic rays. Anything along the electromagnetic spectrum she could become. And she was very powerful. She became a part of the Avengers and even became their leader for a while. Now, a lot of people glossed over the fact, like when they started making, like when they made Black Panther and stuff, and they're like, oh, they have never had these strong African-American or Black characters and stuff. And I'm like, you guys forget some of these characters, you know, you forgot Monica Rambeau and like, let's not forget Storm, guys. She's been around for a long time too. So when they decided to make the Captain Marvel movie and then also include potential for Monica Rambeau, I was like, that's great. So her role is going to be much bigger in the next Captain Marvel.
One of the other things that I caught when in the fourth episode, when Monica comes back right at the beginning, you hear all these little voices, and the last thing you hear, only one that I was actually able to pick up, it says you hear Lieutenant Trouble, which was what Carol Danvers called her.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Nice pull. Good pull.
That was the only thing I picked up, and it was actually only the second time I'm like, wait a minute, those are voices. And I actually rewound it to hear them again, and I listened, and I'm like, Lieutenant Trouble is what she said. You hear Lieutenant Trouble.
I did like too at the end when she comes shooting out of the thing, and they go to recover her, and she's like, it's Wanda. It's all Wanda.
Yeah.
And so there's the question: is this Wanda reacting to the PTSD of what happened in Endgame? Is this her or is her brain and her mind and everything just kind of losing control? Or is this somebody doing this to her?
Or is this Wanda working with someone to get that idyllic future that she wanted with Vision?
I don't think this is something she'd be doing perfectly. I think this is something more.
I think she made a deal with Hecate to have this world, this little area of her own.
I don't know. I don't buy it.
The other theory about Dottie is that she's Arcana from Squadron Supreme. By the way,
man, that's another deep dive, man. That's a way deep dive. I mean, if she is Arcana from Squadron Supreme, that's a multiversal thing.
And that's one of the reasons why they're saying it, is that this is going to tie into the multiverse.
I think they really are. I mean, we're going to see multiverse stuff in the new Spider-Man, and of course, we're going to see a lot multiverse stuff in Doctor Strange.
Yeah, a lot of that came up though because they were thinking that some of the other characters that were in there were actually pulled from it, like her husband. Is it Jones? Anyway, the guy with the big mustache was actually another member of the Squadron Supreme. So that was one of the things, because I forget his name, but the guy, because I actually have the Squadron Supremes downstairs, but I actually really like that comic. But because Arcana was married to the one guy who had a beard and mustache. Okay. But that's who they were thinking he actually was. There was speculation that on who Herb was, that he was actually the I'm blanking now. Anyway, he was the guy, basically the guy that raised Wanda and Pietro.
The High Evolutionary.
The High Evolutionary, yeah. Because the High Evolutionary's name is Herb.
Herbert Wyndham.
Yes, Herbert Wyndham. So that was speculation of that. Now they're like, well, okay, so it's not. But I'm like, I think that maybe what it is that he may not be who that is, but he may be a representation of him to Wanda.
Sure.
And that these are people that Wanda knows from her past or from some point in her life.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. I mean, because she could be like, I mean, there's the idea that these people are people that live in town, but I mean, if she has created the Vision whole cloth from her own mind and from her own power, she could very well have created.
I think he's
else.
a walking corpse. I think that actually is his body.
You think that's the Vision's body?
I think she has reanimated him.
Oof, that's some heavy shit.
And that's why she saw him as dead in the at the end of that episode, at the end of the last episode, because
I think it's more likely
he really looks.
I think it's more likely that she created him, and that that's her slipping a little bit, you know.
Well, I guess
that's her psychology talking.
Well, I guess there was a deleted post-credit scene from Endgame where she leaves with his body.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had read that today that there was a deleted post-credit scene from Endgame where you see Scarlet Witch leave with Vision's body.
Well, these are all interesting theories. I'm excited to see it. Like I said, the next episode is going to be probably centering around an 80s type of sitcom, similar to Full House or Kate and Alley. Full House is a little later, but like Kate and Alley or Different Strokes, The Facts of Life, those kind of things. Who's the Boss? Probably those kind of things. And then I think we might see maybe one more sitcom after that. And then I think but I hope that we don't have to wait too long before we see more of Darcy Lewis and Jimmy Woo and Monica Rambeau.
Because I want to see a lot more of Darcy and Jimmy.
Absolutely.
Them together are hilarious.
Oh, man. It's so good. I mean, if you look up the show, it sometimes will, on IMDb, it will sometimes tell you like how many episodes some of these actors are in. And it'll give you an idea. You know, of course, Olsen and Bettany are in every episode, but like, let's see. Teyona Paris is in 8 episodes. She's Monica. Catherine Hahn is in 9 every episode. Randall Park is in 6 episodes. Kat Denning, 6 episodes. Okay. So that means we'll most probably see them in every episode.
And I have a feeling now we may be seeing more of switching back and forth.
Yes, I think I agree. I think that's what we're going to see.
Now that they've revealed done the big reveal of what's going on, I think we'll start seeing that back and forth as Wanda's trying to keep control inside the town, and they're trying to figure out what's going on and how to fix it.
Exactly.
Well, we are over 2 hours now. So
yeah, we ran super long this time. Sorry, guys. We just got into a lot of talking and catching up, particularly since I wasn't here last week. But thanks again for joining us on
your birthday.
On my very special birthday episode of Nerds with Alcohol, number 213. It's interesting because I think this is one of the first times we've actually been able to do a show that fell right on my birthday, because sometimes right around this time of year I'm on the road to Florida.
Yeah, usually you're either on the road or you're usually like, this is like a week that we don't actually do it.
Quite often.
I was just looking to see if my birthday fell on a Tuesday this year. It does not. My birthday's on a Wednesday, so we won't be doing a show. We'll be doing a show the day before my birthday this year.
Right. So, but yeah, it's once again, thanks to Renee and Pete for filling in for me last week. Just like I said, for those of you guys who weren't aware, I had to fly down kind of short notice to Florida. I helped my parents have decided to move back to Michigan, and they needed some help driving a moving truck up. My mom didn't want my dad to do it by himself, and helped load it up, and then when I went on Saturday, when we were going to I got in on a Thursday. We got in Thursday night, and then Saturday we were going to go and unload the truck into a storage unit or 2 storage units. I got there late, they started. My sister was like, "We're gonna start it at 10." I'm like, "Okay." I got there at like 10 after 11 because I got up late and I'm just mornings, and they were already done. I was like, "Holy shit!" Because my sister got a couple of friends and her fiance and my other sister and my dad, and I was just like, "God, I mean, I know I'm late, but really, I helped pack that truck." Yeah, but they're like, "Hey, man, Team Supreme."
Hey, Russ, just real quick. One of our looks like newer viewers is asking if those are DVDs behind you or video games.
Behind me, these are all books. These are all books on the shelf. In the upper parts there, those are DVDs and mostly DVD sets. Those are mostly like sets from Wayne Brady Forever.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Those are mostly pretty much all like Smallville and Buffy and Angel. And then I've got Gotham and I've got the Arrowverse up there. And then I've got some other ones random, like my grandfather had Nip Tuck. So I grabbed those. I've got like Briscoe County Jr. up there.
Dude, that's what I want.
I've got Alien Nation and Jack of All Trades and The Greatest American Hero. Some other ones up there. Because I am, they're mostly all DVDs. There are some Blu-rays up there. Well, no, I guess there's quite a few Blu-rays too because all of the Arrowverse are on Blu-rays. But
get back in frame, dude.
Oh, sorry. I'm kind of. I'm in and out, but and then like over here, it's all over here. There's a lot of role-playing game books. I was way into the World of Darkness in the mid '90s, so I bought, and I had a lot of disposable income back then, so I bought a lot of.
Yeah, I remember you pulling out the wad of singles.
Hey man, working in the strip clubs at that time was I was doing all right. I was a DJ, guys. I was a DJ. God, I can hear you all making those. There's no way. If these were VHS, I definitely would have no room in here for anything else.
Chippendales.
Chippendales. No, nobody wants to see that, CD. Nobody wants to see that, Sea Dog.
Maybe 20 birthdays ago.
So Chris, he's like asking you the same question. About no, Chris doesn't have the DVD collection I do.
I was gonna say I don't.
My DVD collection is in.
Oh, guy wants the same question. Oh yeah, no. Most of the stuff that's over here is all like just like collectible stuff. It's a bunch of Star Wars and a little bit of Buffy and then superheroes and stuff like that. And I got a Buddy Christ over there and it's mostly like posters and stuff. Like I got the 15th, no, that's the 10th anniversary Firefly, and then the Star Wars, the original 3 Star Wars movies,
right.
Things on the back wall.
And his wife's computer on the other side there.
Yeah, and this is my wife's computer over here. So.
Shit. But yeah, so that's we are definitely hardcore nerds. Like my DVD collection, DVD and Blu-ray collection, my movies are all in the living room, and it is massive. Like it pretty much fills a wall in my living room.
This was something I was going to show you. I would show you, Russ, if I Alexandra actually got this for me for Christmas. It's like a little Death Star.
Yeah, it's a little Death Star. Yeah,
yeah, and
a music box or something.
Yeah, and it.
That's awesome. Yeah, Wayne, we are. I'm definitely a PS4 guy. In fact, yep. I'm planning on getting up extra early and seeing if I can. I heard that there's going to be that some of the Myers are getting stocks of PS5s. So I'm hoping to possibly get a PS5 maybe at one of the Myers tomorrow, very early in the morning. And Chris plays. He has both an Xbox and a PS4. And we're also both PC gamers as well.
Yeah.
So big time gamers, big time nerds. That's part of. Hopefully, hey man, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.
You can check out all.
Follow us. We're here every Tuesday night at 8:00 Eastern. So.
Yeah, and you can see some of our older shows are on Twitch or also on YouTube. We post them on YouTube.
Yep.
Or you could go to our our shows on nerdswithalcoholshow.com, you can download a lot of shows. We've only been doing video for just short of a year. It was a lot of audio
since the pandemic.
Since the pandemic, we have been doing video now, and we've been Twitch streaming and stuff like
right now, Cakebug. Right now, we're playing. We're mostly playing Cyberpunk 2077. That's the main game that we're both into right now.
It's a big game that we're both playing right now. I pretty much, particularly now that they have patched the hell out of it, I've been playing that a lot now. And Chris is playing it on his computer, on his PC. I'm playing it on the PS4. And in Americus, but he's just peeping. All right. Well, hey, everybody's welcome. Hey, we love having input on the chat and everything.
Yep.
CD, you'd think that being a strip bar DJ is a dream job, and it is in some cases. There was a lot of great parts about it, but after a while, it just becomes a job, just like anything else.
And like you said, I'm sure like any job, it gets old. Dude, the number of times I heard you complaining about that job, though, I mean, it was...
Yeah, I did. I worked
about having to deal with idiots.
I worked in the strip bar industry for 12 years. I started off as a men's room attendant for a men's room service, and then one of the DJs had taught me how to use the sound system so that if he needed to go to the bathroom or take a phone call, I could at least switch the music for him, because at the time everything was done by hand. How many times can you listen to Whitesnake? It's true. It's true. There are not that. I mean, it does get old after a while. Particularly the era I was a DJ in. I pretty much through the 90s, the mid 90s, about 95 to I've been out about 12 years now. So the late aughts. So yeah, they heard me on one of the DJs heard me talking on the mic one time at the club, and they trained me as a fill-in, and so I was a fill-in DJ in about half a dozen different clubs in the area and into the Detroit area, and then eventually I became the primary night DJ at Players, and for about 3 years, and I met my ex-wife, and she was a dancer. And I know it's that tale as old as time, It's such a romantic kind of thing, yes, I saw her spinning around the pole to Cherry Pie by Warrant. I asked her out to dinner out to breakfast afterwards. So yeah, I did it till I was about 33 or so, and then got out of the industry. It had kind of just run its course for me. And I credit it with a lot of things. I made a great deal of money. I thankfully was able, my house is paid for because of the money that I saved while I was working. Cash money, baby.
Do you take shing cash?
Cash. I really wanted, when I went to pay for my house, I really wanted
to
like
walk up with a duffel bag and
a briefcase. I wanted to hand him a briefcase and say, keep the case, and just I mean, it was $30,000 too. It wasn't like $100,000. So, and if you do even 30,000,
you got it after the bubble bust,
right? So 30,000 in 20s looks like a lot. 30,000 in 100s doesn't look as much. So it's but it was still. But my realtor said no, they won't let you do that. You got to do like a cashier's check, and I'm like, all right, damn it. So, oh man, I'm sorry you've been closed on, man.
That really sucks, Cakebug.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
Oh man, that sucks, man. Hey, we were all once. Did you take singles? I took a lot of singles. Yeah.
All right. Hey, we are at like 2 hours and 15 minutes, man. We gotta wrap stuff up.
Guys, Wayne, Cakebug, thanks for joining us. Like I said, every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
We also do.
You could give us a follow, guys. We could really use the followers.
Yeah.
So.
And every other Friday we do a video. We do a video broadcast of our D&D game called Tavern Nights. You guys are into D&D. Want to check that out?
Sims 4 doesn't count.
Oh my. That's funny. But yeah, we got to get going. It has been it's been a blast as always, guys. Don't forget to check us out on all the places you find quality podcasting. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on iTunes, on the Google Play Store, on Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, radio.com, and of course you can download and stream all of our podcasts at nerdswithalcoholshow.com. And of course, every Tuesday night at 8 we are stream on Twitch, and then about 2 days later we put the videos up on our channel on YouTube, both Drinking Nerds.
Yeah, and you can follow us on most of the social medias. We're on Facebook, Nerds with Alcohol Show, Twitter at Drinking Nerds, and Instagram Drinking Nerds. And you can follow us on Untapped, the beer drinking app. We are Drinking Nerds. Just search for us, send us a friend request, and we'll get you added.
Absolutely. The more the merrier. Thanks for joining us. It's great to see so many new people. It's just like look at it. I can look at it. It says we have 9 people. On,
right,
on our stream right now.
Yeah.
One of them is me. But anyway, that's pretty awesome. So,
yeah. All right. Well, I think that's gonna about do it.
That should do it.
Happy birthday again, Russ.
Oh, thank you very much.
Hope you have a great rest of your night. So,
I'm gonna play some video games and and.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to bed because I gotta get up for work tomorrow. So, but yeah, so I think on that note. Until next time.
Slancha. Oh, that was a good one.
That's pretty good. All right. Have a good week, everybody.
Good night. Thanks, CD.